Welcome to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to not lay anyone off.
It's a rarity. And actually today we're double brave because we have someone new on the show. Who is it? You'll have to keep watching to find out.
It's Mario.
Bruce, damn it.
It really is. It's Mario. We got Mario.
It's not Mario. He won't answer our emails anymore. I sent him too many headshots. Hey, and speaking of not answering our emails, it's also not PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, who's probably taken a really well-earned breather after the hard work of laying off some 900 people at PlayStation.
This is right before his retirement as well, just so you know.
Yeah, on the way out.
Layoffs have been wreaking havoc on the video games industry. And of course, it just got a lot worse.
Jim Ryan's shouldering that load as he climbs the hill one last time. Today, Sony announced it's laying off a whopping 8% of its global PlayStation workforce. That's a total of about 900 people across the world who will lose their jobs.
The cuts hit a number of Sony's crown jewel studios, Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Guerrilla Games.
And notably, we lost another one. PlayStation London Studio, best known for developing the SingStar series and some VR games, will close entirely.
Another UK studio, Firesprite, which is working on a new narrative game, is also going to lose staff as well.
And as usual, it somehow gets worse than even that. We'll cover all the news, attempt to offer some perspective on the current state of PlayStation and the industry at large, and of course, reveal our magical mystery guest, all after a quick word from today's sponsor, Unicorn Overlord. Today's episode of Inside Games is sponsored by Atlas and Unicorn Overlord. Liberate your kingdom and reclaim your destiny in this epic strategy RPG. Now, I'm a pretty big fan of this developer. This is the studio that developed 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Odin Sphere, and Dragon's Crown. These are all games with a very great and very trademark visual style that returns in force in Unicorn Overlord. It's got a great nostalgic look, love to see it. Unicorn Overlord is the rebirth of retro fantasy strategy that embarks audiences on a nostalgia-infused epic strategy RPG adventure, inviting them to forge alliances, liberate kingdoms, and explore an expansive world with stunning visuals. It's a classic heroic fantasy tale that pays homage to classic 16 and 32-bit strategy RPG gameplay with gorgeous modern 2D aesthetics for tactics fans that want to test their real-time strategy skills with 40 to 50 hours of gameplay. Unicorn Overlord has a demo currently available for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and the Nintendo Switch. Demo progress carries over to the full game, which launches on March 8th, so check it out. Click the link in the description for more information and pre-order the game. Thank you very much, Atlas and Vanillaware, for sponsoring Inside Games, and congrats on the launch of Unicorn Overlord.
Thank you for the support, Atlas. All right, unfortunately, that means we got to get back to the frustrating task of covering even more games industry layoffs.
Yeah, remember when we could just talk about video games that looked cool? That was fun.
Yeah, I really like that, yeah.
Or do we have to do this today, Bruce? Rather than shoulder that load ourselves, we called in an old hand, a true ghost of Inside Gaming's past that almost met Elon Musk one time.
Oh, wow, that's right. We have got Brandon Winfrey himself, straight from the... would be the fifth era of Inside Gaming? I don't... welcome back to the trenches, Brandon.
Thank you. We refer to it as the golden era.
Oh, okay.
And actually, you know what's funny? You know what? I'm canonically the same height as Mario, so it basically works.
Well, perfect.
Yeah, 6'3". Mario's 6'3", everybody.
All right, enough jokes. It's time to earn your hosting fee today. Brandon, how did these PlayStation layoffs go down?
Well, as a fellow layoff sufferer myself quite a few times, this week's pretty high on the spicy level. So PlayStation boss Jim Ryan broke the news in a blog post titled "Difficult News About Our Workforce." He shared in an email that was sent to Sony's global workforce, where he announced the restructuring, writing, "Through discussions over the past few months about the evolving economic landscape, changes in the way we develop, distribute, and launch products, and ensuring our organization is future ready in this rapidly changing industry, we have concluded that tough decisions have become inevitable." Ryan went on to say that it has become clear changes need to be made to continue to grow the business and develop the company. He added that Sony needs to move forward, focusing on the long-term sustainability of the company. But at least Ryan had the empathy to acknowledge how disruptive mass layoffs can be by signing off with, "Please be kind to yourselves and to each other," which honestly is like, it is like nuking Boston and then being like, "But go Patriots." Like, it's wild.
Oh, jeez. Meanwhile, Herman Holst, the head of PlayStation Studios, said in a separate blog post that some games will be canceled as a part of a reevaluation of how we operate. but he didn't name specific titles that were affected.
Probably not announced yet. He wrote, "We looked at our studios and our portfolio, evaluating projects in various stages of development, and have decided that some of these projects will not move forward."
One of the canceled games is apparently the Twisted Metal live service project. Oh! Jason Schreier told us about that. And, after that television show, I kind of was looking forward to a little Twisted Metal.
It could have been fun. It's something they got in the toy chest. I guess it's going back in, though. Hull stated that PlayStation 5 is in its 4th year, and we're at a stage where we need to step back and look at what our business needs.
Money. The answer is always money. They need more money, and the way they do that is they lay people off so that they can make more money and do stock buybacks. That's what it is.
Increase sales, decrease costs, increase margin, which is actually the name of the game. It turns out always more. Never enough for big studios. But here's the thing. Here's what's frustrating. Hasn't Sony already done some layoffs, Brandon?
Yes, but again, they're smaller in scale, so it's okay. But yes, of course they have. They've cut off a lot of people just over the last 6 months, even, right? Recent months, and that includes Media Molecule, who made Dreams, Bungie, which they had just acquired a couple years ago, and Naughty Dog, which announced recently that it was canning that Last of Us multiplayer spinoff. No more factions. Sorry. And at Bungie, it was reported in December that the atmosphere was soul-crushing after about 100 employees were laid off, and the remaining staff was fearful to complete the Sony takeover of the studio. So yeah, I would be too. As soon as, because they always tell you when you're bought by these companies that, oh, you're good, you're perfect, and it's never, ever perfect.
Brandon is right on the money every time that happens. They're always like, everything's fine, don't worry, everybody's gonna be great. And then 1 year later, everyone's fucked. Oh man. According to recent reports, Sony has not been pleased with Bungie's financial performance, with PlayStation chairman Hiroki Totoki saying he wants to see more accountability from the studio when it comes to development budgets and schedules from leadership.
What a fascinating comment. Does that mean billing Bungie for the projects that they stall because they say they weren't enough money? That's what it reads like to me, which would be pretty amazing. On that note, though, Destiny 2 numbers have declined by a lot, and revenues are reportedly running 45% below projections.
Yeah, and PlayStation as a whole, it's been declining a bit. I put that in quotations because they still make so much money, but recently Sony even cut the PS5 sales target for this fiscal year from 25 million to only 21 million, which is brutal. And that announcement caused investors to really just dump out Sony stock, and they wiped out about 10 billion in value from the company.
Wow. Meanwhile, a key metric, Sony's operating margin in its gaming business was just under 6% for the December quarter, according to CNBC. A year ago, during that same quarter, Sony's operating margin was more than 9%.
Yeah, that's the thing that I see that keeps showing up, is margin going down. And it's not that companies aren't making money. They just think they can make the same margin at higher scales. But I don't know that any company's figured out how to do that yet. And it seems like everybody's chasing this golden goose that doesn't exist in terms of AAA games business. Either way, their revenues are dropping, and Sony pretty clearly decided the big cuts need to be made to keep their profits high.
Yeah, and I think also something Sony is running into is they just announced that they're not going to have any major PlayStation franchise titles that come out in this fiscal year, which means through to next April.
Oh, boy, what are they doing? They must be making video games, and I know it takes a long time.
Right, they're making games and then canceling them. That's what they're doing.
That too. That's a good point. This news comes as layoffs have been plaguing the entire gaming industry.
Most notably, Microsoft cut 1,900 staff from its gaming workforce following its acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
But we cheered that on, right, guys? Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, well, can't wait. Phil Spencer's gonna fix everything because he's so nice online.
If Blizzard doesn't exist, there are no problems. There you go. So other layoffs include Unity Software, which laid off 1,800 people. Twitch laid off 500. Riot laid off 530. Discord even had 170 let go. Sega of America let go 61 people. And the mobile developer and publisher Playtika axed between 300 and 400 people, which I don't think that's something people realize, where mobile games still have huge amounts of staff. And now those are even being shed. So,
meanwhile, the conglomerate Embracer Group, the evil Embracer Group, laid off nearly 100 people from its IDOS Montreal studio and canceled an unannounced Deus Ex game.
RIP. Yeah, Deus Ex games are expensive. and they don't always sell. So yeah, Ripperoonie, we're losing a lot of potential games this year. But just to give you an idea of how bad it's been, we're just 38 days into 2024, believe it or not, and more than 6,400 layoffs have already been announced.
So it's bad, and sadly, it doesn't look like it's going to get better kind of anytime soon.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. Normally, you know, we like talk over the issue a bit at the end here, but I don't know what's left to say. It's business, you know, and I hate to. The older I get, the more that phrase keeps pounding through my head. You know, these moments that companies go through, they know they're going to get. You know, people are going to turn up their noses online. That's all they have to suffer through. Like a week of people being like, shame, and then the world moves on, and that's business, baby.
Yeah, I think the cycle of how they respond to these things is also just extremely disheartening, and I don't know how to solve it. But what you'll see is Sony right now has tons of job openings. What they do is they cycle people out, they lay off people, and then they rehire contractors or people at a lower salary. And that's how they help keep their margins low, because especially over COVID, everyone over-indexed for how much we're going to pay people because there were a lot of subsidies being thrown around, and like how fast the industry would grow. So it is purely mismanagement. And as we of course know, stockholders getting increased money while everyone else cut. But it's truly the response. Like, these companies are still hiring people. They just want people that are cheaper, and they are artificially creating an employer's market. So then everyone else is desperate to get a job, so they will take the lower compensation. It's just a really bad cycle.
Yeah, this is unfortunately a symptom of tech in general. Lots of big tech companies are laying off right now, not just gaming. I don't know that this is going to let up. Maybe later on this year, if things look up for the economy a little bit, we'll see. The one thing I've been trying to do to look sort of there is no positive side of this, but to look at the other companies where executive staff and CEOs are taking pay cuts. Because there are some companies that are actually taking pay cuts and trying not to lay off as many people or not do any layoffs at all. So that is one other way that you can kind of go and see, like, which company deserves my money more. Is it the people that are actually willing to sacrifice for their staff, or the ones that are laying off 900 people?
And well said all around. And speaking of deserving your money, we have several people that are already extremely generous and decide to fund these productions. Usually, I like to make up jokey titles and categories for our patrons at the end of the episode, but that doesn't feel like it's in good taste. Well, it's usually not in good taste in general, but it's especially not in good taste after an episode about layoffs, because you guys are the reason that we can do this in the way that we do. So thank you very much. Red and 003, Zach to Hack, Talia Monochrome, Rook, Captain Coldblood, Pitstrip, and Loveless. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks again, Inside Games patrons, Scotty Ryan, Ray Pichardo, Keto White, Dougal Tupo, Lenny Neves, and Kyle Abbott. We would not be making the show without you.
And thank you, Brandon, for joining us. Thank you for bringing your insight.
Yeah, I had so much fun. It was great to join y'all, and I've loved seeing what y'all have built at Inside Games. It's been great. It's been great.
Well, Brandon, I have bad news for you. You're laid off.
You know what? It's okay. I can't wait for that severance package.
Hey, I got it for you right now, and it's this inspirational advice. Be kind to yourself and each other.
That helps feed my kids. Thank you.